Hey River parents, it's Miss Taylor here, and I am stoked to chat with you guys for just a few minutes about some things that we are seeing take place in our classrooms here in Riverbank Kids, and some things that I am sure you are seeing take place in your homes as well with your kids. And we are finding in classrooms of all ages that our kids here in Riverbank Kids, they want three things. They want a lot of things, but three primary things we are seeing come back time and time again through all ages is kids want a sense of authority, ownership, and the ability to make choices. So that's something we're seeing. Ownership, authority, and the ability to make choices. And I'm sure you're seeing this in action at your homes. Think about, okay, authority. Are kids having a little bit of a hard time sharing in your household? Are they having a little bit of a hard time getting along? Is there like a power struggle going on between the different siblings in your home? Or maybe with ownership, maybe they're just really proud of the accomplishments they do. Maybe they're getting a really awesome grade in a certain class right now, and they just take a lot of pride in that. They feel ownership over that. They feel like the work that they are doing is paying off, and they're really excited about that. Or maybe when it comes to making choices, they light up when you give them the ability to make a choice. Maybe it's about what movie you're gonna watch as a family, or where you're gonna go to dinner a certain night on a special night out. Kids love being able and equipped and empowered to make choices. And before we really get into the meat of this video, I just want to take a moment and say that those three things, your child's desire to have authority and ownership and to make choices, are not bad things. Now, I know you might be saying, Taylor, you're not a mom, you don't know. I understand, and I understand that those three things can sometimes express themselves negatively. Maybe you're having a little bit of an issue with being authoritative but not a boss in your child's life. Maybe they really are struggling to learn what it means to have ownership but not be greedy. Or maybe good choices just don't happen in your household right now. I get that. But these things really aren't inherently bad. And when you think about it, adults want the same things. I want a sense of authority and ownership and the ability to make choices in my life. I know you do too. And that all stems from the fact that this is really how God wired us. He wired us to want these three things. And if you think back in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, in the Garden of Eden, He wired us for these three things. Think of Adam and Eve for a minute. Think about the fact that when God created them and He created all the living animals, He gave them authority over them. He said, go lead them. And He gave them the means and the ability to do that. He also gave them free will. And that led them to be able to make decisions. And now we know from that story that even though we have that free will and the ability to make choices like your child wants to do so bad, sometimes that sin issue gets in the way, right? Sometimes we don't quite live out exactly what God intended for our free will, and we make bad choices. But nonetheless, He gives us the ability and the platform to do that. And the Garden of Eden story with Adam and Eve really serves as a reason why we take the discipling and shepherding of your children and helping them develop God-honoring authority, ownership, and the ability to make good choices so seriously in Riverbank Kids. It's really the foundation of so much of what we do on Sunday mornings in our weekly programming, because we know that God wired kids to want those three things and that He has given them the ability to do those three things in a God-honoring way. But that sin issue can creep in, and so we take it seriously. And some of the things that we have done, even just this school year, to really implement these things and prove these aspects of our ministry is, first off, in our Connect classroom, our 2nd through 5th grade classroom, we are in the 2nd semester of a new serve schedule that we implemented this year back at the beginning of the school year. And what this means, if your child is not in this classroom yet, what this basically means is that we have given kids options and choices of different areas they can serve on Sunday mornings in their classroom. Things include checking in, helping get families checked in at the start of Riverbank Kids. This is a favorite position for these kids. They love being check-in helper. They get to be on the computers, print the stickers. It's a lot of fun. And guess what? It's ownership. It gives them a sense of ownership on Sunday mornings. They are playing a valuable role. And your check-in ladies and myself will vouch for the fact that they are big helpers, and they are often better at the computers than we are. We see it every week. Another thing, classroom manager, talk about authority, right? Talk about learning what it means to be a godly leader, not a boss, not a controller, but a godly leader, a supporter, and encourager. That's been really great. And there's other positions and roles as well that instill authority, ownership, and choices. They have the choice to make the decision and sign up. They have the choice every time they're on the schedule to show up and to be awesome godly leaders. And so we've really seen great success with that. Another thing that we have implemented in a few different classrooms, but primarily the Connect class where the Serve schedule is thriving, is just options. We take a few minutes every morning and we say, okay, right now you get to do this or you get to do this. We understand that not every child is wired with the same learning capabilities, the same learning styles. And so while the craft that teaches about the story we just learned might be really awesome for some kids and might be really engaging, a take-home reminder of what they learned that day, a video that kind of supplements the lesson, teaches them a little bit more, might really hit home with a lot of other kids. And so we give them the option. We don't want them to be miserable. We don't want them to dread what's going on. We want them to be engaged and actively learning. And so we give them options within boundaries. It's not a free-for-all. It's not a, okay, you can do whatever you want right now, just have fun. It's a, hey, this needs to be accomplished right now. We need to learn this lesson. We need to learn what God is trying to tell us. Here are two ways that we can do that. I want you to pick the one where you're gonna thrive, where you're gonna learn, where you're gonna enjoy yourself and be actively engaged. So that has been really beneficial for us as well. So you just heard all these things. You're thinking, Taylor, that is so wonderful that you are having so much success at church. But what about my house? What about the 6 other days a week? I hear you, I feel you. I want to give you a couple suggestions. It might not work for every household, but try these things out. Trial and error, never hurt anybody. See if these things help structure your home around godly authority, ownership, and your child making the right choices. So the first thing I want to suggest to you is the idea of chore cards. So basically, this is a great way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Your house needs cleaned. I know mine does. And your kids are capable of helping, and they are capable of making decisions and having authority and ownership within your own house. So what you can do is you can say, instead of telling them, hey, go do this right now, go clean the dishes, go make your bed, present them with some options. Say, okay, here's a list of things that need to be done. You can even make cute little cards for them, or you can just write out a list and say, these are the things that need to be done right now in the house. And you live here, you do your life here just like we do, and I want you to chip in. And when you give them this list and say, okay, I want you to pick 2 or 3 things that you're gonna do today. Not, would you pick 2 or 3 things that you could do today if there's nothing better to do? Because there's always something better to do than dishes. But I want you to pick 2 or 3 things today that you're gonna do to help out and take some ownership in this house. And so what this is gonna do is this is gonna give kids the ability to make a choice. They can't go wrong because your dishes, the bed, the laundry all need done. So they're not gonna go wrong, but they get to make that choice still. They get to have ownership in the choice that they make, take pride in the house that they live in when it's all clean and sparkly, and they get to lead. They get to say, okay, right now, I'm gonna take authority and I'm gonna do this. And so it's a powerful option for them and a blessing for you as well. So again, like we're seeing in Connect, we're not saying, okay, you can do the dishes or you can go play video games. It's no, there's a boundary, right? Because kids need to make choices, but they need those boundaries, they need structure. They're not capable of making the right choice always without those things. And so it's saying, okay, chores are gonna be done right now. But here are some options of chores that you can do right now. All things that need done. They're not just fluff options. They're not just keep them busy. All things that need done that they're capable of doing, but giving them the choice will give them a sense of ownership and authority. We are also seeing in Riverbank Kids that authority, ownership, and making the right choices all stem from a sense of confidence in a child. And we are finding that just like adults, just like you and I, kids want to know what's going on. So something I have personally implemented on weeks that I teach in certain classrooms is I just flat out tell kids what we're gonna do during the hour. I start the lesson by letting them know what's ahead, what's coming up. And this is something I would recommend you try in your house. And it might seem counterintuitive to tell your child everything that's gonna happen for the week, everything that's gonna happen for the entire day. And I'm not saying you need to do that because that can create a lot of issues as well, but maybe start with just an hour. Say, okay, during this hour, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna finish with this. Or maybe if your child is a little more mature, a little more older, they might be able to take a whole day or a half day. If your child's younger, start with 30 minutes. Say, okay, for these 10 minutes, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this. And we have found in Riverbank Kids that this gives kids just a lot of confidence. They wanna know what's coming up, they wanna know what's ahead, and it also has given them the ability to make better choices. So practically, I've seen this played out. If we are doing something in our lesson right now that a child is just really not feeling, is just really not enjoying, maybe they're having a really hard time sitting still, or they just, the game, the craft, they just don't love, being able to say, you know what, I know you don't love this right now, but if you remember, in just a few minutes, we're gonna get to do this. And it's something that they love, it's something that they enjoy. That helps them feel confidence and say, okay, I'm not stuck in this forever. I don't have to do this thing I don't love forever. In just a few minutes, we're gonna get to do this. And so we have found that helps grumbling, that helps boredom, because they have something to look forward to, and that gives them a sense of ownership of their hour, right? It all ties together, it's all a cycle. Gives them a sense of ownership in their hour, knowing that they know what's coming up, that they have authority over this, that they get to choose how they're gonna react when they're not having fun, but something awesome and better is coming. So try that out, see if that helps, test it, trial and error. Like I said, your child might not be able to handle knowing the whole day, but they might be able to handle knowing an hour, and it might really improve some things around your home and in your family dynamics. So parents, thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me today. I love your kids, I really do, and their teachers love them, and we are just so thankful for the opportunity to spend an hour with them every week and to just disciple them and shepherd them. But we know that the real heavy lifting, the hard work is taking place in the home. And so we thank you for the role you spend in shepherding your children and being the spiritual leader in your household. It doesn't go unnoticed, because these kids, they're smart and they know Jesus, they know their Bible, and we know that so much of that is stemming from the work and the hours that you are putting in at home. And we know that it's not easy. We know that it is long days, often long nights, especially with the really, really littles, but you are making a difference and you are doing kingdom work, and it is all gonna be worth it. It's all gonna pay off. I hope that you find some time this weekend or the beginning of next week to just have a breather and to just relax, maybe celebrate Valentine's Day together with your spouse. Just get out, have some fun. You deserve it. You really, really deserve it. So we will see you this weekend at Riverbank Kids, 9:45 Sunday morning. We'll be here. We'll be ready to go and love on your kids and teach them what it means to know God, to love others, and to have a lasting faith